I have finally started actual work on my long-promised and long-overdue video essay about the in-season recruiting of EA's old NCAA football video games. Patrons, of course, have access to an early preview of an outline of the script for that. A short preview clip of that project is already available to patrons, and I plan on adding at least 1 or 2 more previews as I progress in the project. So feel free to check that out. This is going to be a big project though, and will likely take me weeks, maybe even a couple months to put everything together. In the meantime, I don't want to leave my readers, viewers, and patrons hanging for too long, so I want to try to create a couple short pieces of content to keep you satiated until that bigger project is finally finished. So let's take 10 minutes or so to talk about something special that Legend Bowl does with its pass pressure mechanics. Readers of my blog and viewers of my YouTube channel may be familiar with my series on how Madden fails to simulate football. New episodes of that will be coming eventually, probably this summer. In the second and third episode of that series, I discussed how Madden's binary blocking logic and the ability of quarterbacks to hit any receiver anywhere on the field with the simple push of a button leads to unrealistic pass rushes and also, paradoxically, to inflated sack stats. Pass rushers either have next to no impact on the play and the QB can throw a dime to anywhere on the field, or the pass rush gets home for a sack. An aggressive pass rush in Madden does not force a QB to have to throw early or off-platform, thus resulting in an off-target pass. Or at least, Madden's attempts at emulating this reality of football often feel poorly defined, arbitrary, and they're inconsistently applied. It hasn't been since the QB vision cone of 2005-2006 that Madden has really come close to getting this right. But this is actually where a little pixel art indie football game called Legend Bowl really shines. With one simple, elegant mechanic, Legend Bowl has managed to emulate the idea of a panicked QB having to release an off-target pass before he wants to in order to avoid the pass rush. You see, Legend Bowl employs a chargeup mechanic for determining the power and accuracy of passes, and this same mechanic is also used for kicking and to similar effect. The QB can still throw to any receiver with the push of a button, although there is also a QB vision mechanic, but it doesn't work like Madden's old QB vision, and we'll talk more about it a bit later. But the QB also needs to hold the button for a second in order to charge up the throw. Release the button too early, and the throw will be an underpowered, floaty, lame duck of a pass that will probably sail over the target's head or be easily picked off by zone defenders. Hold the button for too long, and the throw will become overcharged, which results in a severe accuracy penalty. The pass will likely be a laser beam, but it will be directly into the dirt, the football equivalent of a bowling gutter ball. Ideally, you always want to charge your throw up to 100% power, or at least as close to it as you can get, without overcharging and taking an accuracy penalty. However, that is easier said than done when a 300-pound defensive lineman is charging right at you. This is where Legend Bowl respects the pass rush in a way that Madden hasn't come close since the days of its QB vision cone. If the defense gets pressure, the QB doesn't have time to hold that button down and fully charge the pass, which will lead to more floaty, inaccurate throws. Inversely, panicking because you see a defender break free of his block at the last second can distract the player's brain just enough to mistime the charging of the throw and overcharge it for an accuracy penalty. This is especially true on higher difficulty levels in which the meter charges faster and the accuracy penalty is greater. Best of all, as far as I can tell, the CPU-controlled QBs are also bound by this mechanic. They also, as far as I can tell, have to take a split second to charge their throws, and if they don't have time to fully charge the throw, they too will throw a wobbly floater of a pass that will sail over the receiver's head or be swatted or picked by one of my defenders waiting in a nearby zone. Unlike Madden, Legend Bowl does not need to rely on suspicious dice rolls or arbitrary and poorly defined accuracy modifiers for when the software determines that the QB is under pressure. It's all a completely player-driven mechanic in Legend Bowl. And, in contrast to Madden's old vision cone, it's a mechanic that is simple and elegant. Passing the ball still requires but one single button press, but depending on how long you have to hold that button to charge up the throw, your pass can be accurate or inaccurate. This does a great job of abstractly modeling the idea of a quarterback having to throw off platform or not being able to properly follow through with his hips to get as much power behind the throw because he has to release it early to avoid a sack. It allows the pass rush to disrupt the throwing process without necessarily having to sack the QB or swat the ball at the line of scrimmage, even though they can do that as well. This one simple mechanic just completely puts Madden to shame. As mentioned earlier, Legend Bowl does also have its own QB vision mechanic, but it works completely differently compared to the old Madden mechanic. Basically, in Legend Bowl, lower-rated quarterbacks do not have a camera that zooms out on passing plays. It stays at the default perspective, which only gives you visibility of about 10 yards of the field. This limits the QB's field of vision to 10 yards downfield, if that. Higher-rated QBs, however, will have the camera zoom out as far as it takes in order to keep every receiver on screen. This feature also fundamentally changes how passing the ball works in Legend Bowl. Because they can't see receivers breaking open downfield, poor or mediocre quarterbacks have to rely on short, timing-based routes in order to get their completions, or they just have to get lucky. Better quarterbacks, however, can play more like gunslingers, standing in the pocket or scrambling out of the pocket until someone beats the coverage downfield, if the pass rush will give them enough time, that is. This is also a really neat idea that cleverly models the difference in how talented quarterbacks play compared to less talented quarterbacks. Not being able to see more than 10 yards downfield means a mediocre QB has to rely on the design of the play, his pre-snap reads, and maybe a single post-read snap in order to complete a pass. If he does decide to throw more than 10 yards downfield, he'll have to hope that the defense is where he expects them to be based on that pre-snap read. Having a poor QB or relying on a backup if your star quarterback gets hurt actually does limit what you can call from your playbooks, because the plays that you can call and the routes that your receivers can viably run will depend on the talent of your quarterback. Is this system perfect? No, of course not. Right now, Legend Bowl employs a hard cutoff for its quarterback vision mechanic. Quarterbacks with ratings of 80 or over can see downfield. Lower-rated QBs cannot. Personally, I would like to see the amount of camera zoom be proportional to the QB's rating. That way there's a gradient, and there is a notable difference between a bad reserve quarterback compared to a mediocre starter. Maybe you need 90 overall or better to see the entire field, but then 80 overall or higher can maybe allow you to see 20 to 25 yards downfield. Being 70 overall or better would allow you to see 15 to 20 yards downfield. Being 60 overall or better would limit you to 10 to 15 yards, and anything worse than 60 would limit you to that default 10 yards of visibility. This way, even a mediocre 70-something overall starter would still be noticeably better than some 60-something overall backup. Legend Bowl also has other problems. Pocket formation could be better, the lack of clear passing lanes leads to an excess of passes being swatted down at the line of scrimmage, especially on higher difficulties. All the teams use the same playbooks, so there isn't much variety or personality between teams, other than whatever personality is provided by the talent level of the particular team's roster. I have a lot of issues with how the game handles the game clock and its huddle animations, and it would also be nice to have some more options for customizing the difficulty. Right now, I'm not playing Legend Bowl a lot because I'm at this awkward place in which medium is way too easy and I'm up by 30 points by halftime, but then I struggle with hard difficulty to the point that I'm often down 20 or 30 points by halftime, and it's not fun, and I really wish there was something in between. Nevertheless, Legend Bowl is a great little indie football game built on sound football fundamentals and which, as this video shows, is full of clever ideas that are possibly very innovative in the football video game genre. And with this one simple, elegant mechanic, Legend Bowl manages to model an aspect of football that Madden, with all of its polygons and ray tracing and motion capture and billions of dollars of profit from loot box sales, has struggled to be able to adequately model for at least the past 15 years. Don't let the retro visuals of Legend Bowl fool you. Legend Bowl is an impressive football game. And with a full franchise mode, hopefully coming soon, it's likely only going to get better. Thanks for watching, and I hope to have more content on Legend Bowl in the future.